and let's start talking about a generative AI interview question and its answer. So yesterday in my previous discussion, so I discussed till this particular point, 95th number question. Now let's start talking about a question from here. So one by one, basically, I will try to give an answer from my side. And if you have any kind of a question from your side, so yeah, feel free to ask those questions in a chat. Chat is already open for all of us. So here, a question says that how do you implement a multi-agent system with generative AI? Now, so whenever someone is asking this kind of a question that how do you implement a multi-agent system with the generative AI? So obviously I have to give a use cases that, okay, I was trying to solve this particular problem or that particular problem, and this is a place where I have used a multi-agent. And let's suppose if I have not used a multi-agent in any places, so in that case, maybe I can just give a theory or I can talk about the story or analogy around it that, okay, so this is how we can try to build a multi-agent system. Now, first of all, what is a multi-agent system? I believe we have already seen that in our live classes as well for a generative AI certification. This week, so we discussed about a crew AI, right? And we were trying to solve a resume, ATS resume problem. Inside our class, we have built a small application, so where it will be able to take a resume as an input, it will be able to take a job description as an input and a job title as an input, and then it will try to parse your entire resume. It will try to spot all the main points, so whether it's your a email ID or maybe a LinkedIn ID, maybe a GitHub ID, or maybe about the project, duration of the project, your skill set, everything it will try to spot one by one as per the instruction which I have given to my LLM, and then it will try to rephrase or rewrite the entire resume as per the job description. So basically it's kind of a reverse ordering or reverse engineering that we were trying to do, that okay, take my resume, align it with the job description, and then it was giving me a tuned final version of my resume content. Apart from that, so it was also trying to give me basically my I would say a ATS score, right? ATS score. So in a real manner, the way any system is going to calculate the ATS score in the similar manner, right? In the similar manner, basically it was giving me a ATS score. Now, to read or to parse this entire resume, to generate a new content for a resume, and even to align this resume with a job description, and to basically give a ATS score of a new content or a new resume content with respect to a job description. So we have used agents, a different agents. So one was doing one task, other was doing other task, or a third was doing third task. So likewise, we have used 4 in total agents, which we have built inside a Crew AI, right? This is something that we have done. And even in Crew AI Studio, I have shown you that if you have to build it without writing a single line of a code, how you can do it, basically. So that was a use cases, right? So whenever I have to give an answer of this question, so obviously I'll talk about one of the use case that, okay, this was the use case. I was building it, and it was my need of an hour at that point of a time to use a multiple agents. I have used this particular framework for that particular agent. For some of the agent, I have give some tool access, basically. For some of the agent, it was just a simple LLM instruction which was given to those agents, and then I have built the multi-agent system. So how you will be able to implement? Obviously by using some of the orchestration framework. Maybe you can say a Crew AI, maybe you can say Autogen. Autogen is even very powerful nowadays, and even Autogen provides you a flexibility just like a Crew AI, that you can do just a drag and drop, and then you will be able to build an agent. You can build a tool inside the agent, everything. I believe next week I'm going to discuss about the Autogen in a practical manner, and that too without writing much of code. Yeah, Autogen also provide you, even inside the UI interface, Autogen also provides you modify the code base, just like a Crew AI, by the way. Yeah, just like a Crew AI. Which I am going to show you in a practical manner. But yeah, I can try to use a Crew AI, I can try to use a Autogen, I can try to use a N8N, I can try to use a LangGraph, I can try to use a LangChain, I can try to use a Llama indexes. Likewise, there are so many different kind of a framework which is available. So where we and every framework is providing me to build an independent agent, so that one agent can pass a data, or one agent can talk or communicate to other one. So this is how I will end up building it. If I have to give the answer that, okay, I have like, I was trying to solve this use case, and in this use case, obviously I have used this many number of agents for a different kind of a purposes, right? Uh, so it is, if it is possible, can you explain one more example other than a resume AI for a multi-agent? Okay, so resume AI is something that I have discussed in my previous class, right? Anyone remembers what I have discussed in previous class with respect to a line graph? Yeah, because just before Crew AI, what was the like a project, or what was the use case which I have discussed? Anyone who can remember? Yeah. Yes. Okay. So Shari is saying document extraction. Okay. So in document extraction, so what we have done, by the way? So what kind of a use case we have seen over there? Yes. Any idea? Hmm. So basically, we have extracted an invoice and stored it into a SQLite, right? This is something that we have done. Now, can I say that even when I was using a LangGraph framework, I have used a multiple agent over there? Yeah, multiple agent, and then like basically we have created a multiple node, if you remember, from that particular use case which I have discussed right before this resume AI. And we have created basically a multiple nodes. Technically that node was behaving like an agent. Some of the agent was having a tool access. Tool means a function access, and it was reading out my invoices. It was trying to call a easy OCR. It was trying to extract a data out of it. It was trying to refine those data, and then finally it was trying to ingest my data into a databases, right? So again, that is one of the multi-agent system. So it doesn't matter what task in a today's world you are going to automate, right? It is going to be a, in case of agentic AI, it is going to be a multi-agent system. Doesn't matter which task you are going to solve. For example, if I'm like trying to build a system, so which is going to work for me as a marketing campaign manager, right? Again, one of the example, other example, let's suppose, let's take, talk about it with respect to a marketing. Again, marketing is something which all the company does. Now, when we have to do a marketing, so we have to do a multiple task. First of all, a research that what our competitors are doing, what is a unique USP of my product is, in which market I will be able to fit my product, what should be the ideal pricing for my like a market, who will be my basically like a target user, right? Whom I should target, maybe between 16 year to 18 year, maybe 18 year to 24 year, 24 year, 35 year, in which demography I have to run my ad, right? So this is something that we have to do a research. Again, just on a research side itself, we can try to create a multiple agent. So which will try to do a pinpointed research for one of the topic. Now, once the research is done, then we used to go for the content creation, right? Because obviously when we are saying marketing, so marketing is all about content, right? So obviously content and then distribution. So you have to create a content. Maybe you have to create a carousel. Maybe you have to, again, carousel means a different dimension comes into a picture. Maybe you will go and you will try to create, I would say, a ad video. Maybe you will go and shoot the ad video. Nowadays, even people are able to create it with respect to the AI. So you will create an ad video. Maybe you are going to run an offline marketing campaign. That's also possible, right? So maybe a pamphlet distribution, maybe a hoarding and posters and all those things you are going to do, which companies does. But yeah, majority of like nowadays happens on our digital platform. So basically there will be a collateral which some team is going to create. Now agents can create a collateral. Agents can even do the comparison between the collaterals, even if someone is going to create manually and keeping into a drive, that okay, this is going to work, this is not going to work as per my past experience, everything it is going to summarize it. Then there will be a next agent who will keep on scheduling it, because and who will start allocating, or at least who will start suggesting you the budget. So again, in every layer, starting from a planning and research to a collateral creation till an execution, and then finally there will be a report gathering. There will be a multiple agent. Just in one single layer itself, we can try to deploy a multiple agents over there. So again, in a marketing, which is a common use cases for all of us, same thing happens even in case of a sales, right? So whether we are trying to do like a one-to-one calling. So obviously nowadays there are multiple agents or multiple like AI agents. You must be able to see. You must have received a lot of calls, right? Nowadays, or obviously in last like a 5 to 6 months. So where machine is giving you a call, and looks like in a very first, unless and until you are not listening to the conversation carefully, it looks like that machine is able to talk to you just like a human being, right? Its tone, its sentiment, everything is almost like a human being. So again, in case of a sales, obviously we are going to deploy a multiple agent. There will be a talk, like there will be an agent who can speak, who can like understand, who can like talk to you in a real time. But even before that, so there will be an agent who will churn the data. Because let's suppose if I'm generating a lead, lakhs and lakhs of lead I'm generating on a daily basis as per my budget, as per my marketing campaign. So obviously I have to churn those lead. I have to decide that, okay, fine. So when I'm supposed to call, it's not like if let's suppose someone from a USA has filled a form. So I'm going to give a call in an Indian time. Obviously I know that they are not going to pick up, right? Or maybe someone has asked for the follow-up call. Maybe someone has scheduled a call with me. So my agent is supposed to remind and it is supposed to give a call if someone is looking for maybe someone to talk to my senior. So again, there will be a multiple agent which will be deployed. So technically, whenever we talk about a agentic AI, it's always about multiple agents. One agent will not be able to do things. And again, so this is how we have been writing even a code, modular fashion. So again, in case of our agents, so with the help of this multi-agent, we try to technically achieve a modularity. Hope it's making sense, and it's a number of example for all of you. Yeah. So whenever we talk about agent, actually we talk about a multiple agents, not just one, by the way. Yeah. In any system, even with the small use cases. Okay. Now, so next question says that what is the approach for building a autonomous agent? Okay. Now, first of all, what is the autonomous agent? We know about agents, by the way, right? We discussed a lot, and we have even built a lot. Even in our live classes, we have built a lot of agent by using a lot of framework. So basically, autonomous agent is basically like a kind of an agent which will try to take some sort of a decision automatically, right? Which will try to take things automatically. So obviously, if I'm going to create a system, so with a very, very clear objective, and if I'm going to give an access, right? For example, nowadays, what happens? So many people are creating a tool, or many organizations are creating a tool, so which will be able to book a flight ticket for you, right? Which will be able to plan your vacation, which will be able to basically do some sort of a shopping. You must have seen that, right? Maybe on a Perplexity, even Perplexity is building that. So basically many people are building a browser agent, right? So which will be able to spin the browser in the server, not in your local. And basically that browser will be able to do a lot of things for you. Even ChatGPT has or OpenAI have revealed that one. So they have even a browser agent. I don't know whether you have tried that or not, but yeah, I think I have already created a video when it was released. It's available on Euron platform. So basically many people are working for a browser agent, right? Now what this browser agent does, let's suppose I have given some instruction that, okay, book a ticket for me in this location, or from this location to this location. This is a date, this is a timing. Yeah. So it will go, it will try to search all the website. It will try to find out the cheapest one for me. And maybe if I'm looking for a business class or maybe a first class, it will try to find those things. And then eventually it will try to book the ticket. And to book the ticket, obviously it should know my information, right? Because whenever we are booking a ticket, obviously system will ask you for a couple of information, right? That what is your name, what is the email ID or date of birth, email ID, phone number, all of these information, right? It is going to ask you. If I'm like trying to travel internationally, so obviously it is going to ask me for visa detail, maybe passport, or a lot of things it is going to ask. Now, so we have to give those detail to the agent basically. Apart from that, so obviously we have to give a credit card or debit card access to my agents, right? To my agents, then only it will be able to make a payment. Otherwise, what agent will do? No one can do anything, right? So autonomous agent is something so which will be able to like take instruction from you, right? If you said that, okay, fine, wake me up every day 6 o'clock. Fine. It will be having your alarm access or maybe mobile access or calendar access or anything. It will do it. Book a calendar for me for this event. So go to my mail and then check all my mails and like try to filter out all the important like things which I have to do and schedule like a meeting with me. It can be done, right? It can be done automatically. It can be done. Like do a grocery shopping for me. It will be done basically, right? But to do it, you have to provide all the access. Basically, you have to provide maybe a web search access to this one. You have to provide a API access, database access, your credit card access, everything, right? Everything. And then system will be able to take its own decision, and it will be able to basically do the task. So Auto GPT is one of the example. There is something called as Baby AGI, right? Artificial General Intelligence, Baby AGI, which is like a famous autonomous agentic AI framework or agents framework. So you can try to use any of these frameworks. So ultimately it is going to take its brain, and brain is going to be LLM. So LLM may be like OpenAI LLM or Cloud AI or anything, any LLMs, a best one you can try to give, and then it will be able to do some sort of a task for you. And that is something called as autonomous agent. But yeah, security is a major concern for now. So if you're going to give a credit card access, you don't know like what kind of a decision it is going to make, unless and it is not robust. It's not properly tested on all the use cases, right? But yeah, I think very soon this is going to be a reality. Just like we use iPhone and we say Siri, put alarm for like a 4 o'clock, 4 a.m. Siri is good with that. So I think in iPhone I have used AI as a AI, not AI by the way. I have only used Siri maybe as a like AI. Apart from that, there is nothing in iPhone, I believe, right? In terms of AI, even in the recent release. So they just have a Siri, and I think Siri was there like even like before the age of era of AI. So just like a Siri, so the way she is very good. She is very good with the calendar booking. She is very good with the alarm clock setting by the way. So maybe in the similar manner you will be using this AI autonomous agent. But yeah, people are building it, people are doing it. Maybe you can try this out with the Perplexity. Perplexity have that agentic browser. They have like done that. They have even released it for the public, and even you can try this out into a OpenAI Auto GPT. So but yeah, you have to give all the access. Unless I did access, so it will not be able to work. All the tasks by AI, then what about us? What about a job, sir? Okay, let me tell me one thing, right? In a childhood, right, we all were living into a small town. Even I belong from a very, very small town in India, right? A very, very small town. And we used to go for daily grocery shopping, right? We go out and then we buy a vegetable and basically we used to buy all the groceries and everything on a regular basis. Yeah, maybe once or twice in a month we used to go outside, right? Barely we go out for a food and something, right? But nowadays, right, if you're living in a metro city or not in a metro city in India, even in tier 2, tier 3 cities now it's available. So now we have a Blinkit, right? Blinkit, Zepto, Zomato, a lot of like a provider, a lot of like a, vendors. So who can deliver things at your household. Now we are not going out for buying a vegetable on a daily basis, right? Which was our routine task. In a childhood, right? Or maybe like for most of us, it was a routine task for us 10 or 20 years back. But now we are not doing it, right? Now we are like just opening up our Zomato or maybe a Blinkit, maybe a Zepto or such kind of application. And yes, in 10 minutes, 20 or maybe half an hour, right? Or maybe other day. So we are able to get or we are able to receive. Even to buy something, so we used to go out, but now we have Amazon, we have Flipkart, even available in a rural area of India, right? So we are not going outside. Yeah. So can I say that when there will be an agent who will be able to book a flight ticket, it will be able to book maybe a meeting or manage a meeting. It's not like we will be out of the job, right? So basically we have seen that when this entire digitalization happened or it's still happening, so obviously it's trying to provide an opportunity for our people. So obviously AI will be able to book a ticket for you. AI will be able to book a gym slot for you, let's suppose, but you have to go to a gym, right? Maybe AI will be able to make your gym payment, but you have to go and you have to do your gym basically, right? So technically it's not about like a AI who is going to do a job on behalf of us. It is technically helping me out to be 10x productive. Just imagine, right? When there was no computer, or let's suppose we had a computer even 10 years back, right? We had a computer, but it was slow. RAM was very low, right? We were not able to run a heavy application over there. Life was completely slow. Even in the age of Google, right? Maybe life was slow because we used to go through a documentation. We used to go through a Stack Overflow. Then AI came into a picture, right? ChatGPT in 2022, I think mid of 2022, since last like a 2.5 year, 3 year, let's suppose, right? AI came into a picture. So technically, it's making our life faster. It's making our life easier. Yeah. So yes, it is going to take your job. There is no doubt about it. It is taking your job. If you are not able to upgrade yourself, if you are living in a same era, 10 year or like 5 year back era, if you are not upgrading yourself, if you think that I will learn only one skill and then on that skill I will be able to survive for an entire life, obviously AI will take your, not AI will take your job, right? Your colleague will take your job, your neighbor will take your job, your batchmates will take your job. Very simple. Yeah. So if you're not able to learn, if you will keep on making an excuse that where to learn, how to learn, what to learn, instead of actually learning and instead of actually building, which I see as a very, very common phenomena in almost all of you, believe me. Yeah, that this is consider that as a this as a constructive feedback. So not in another way, basically. So I have seen many people, right? Very few people come to me and say that I have built this, right? Can you please help me out, to build 10 more things in this one? Right? There are very few people who come to me by saying this statement. Many people come to me and say that how I can build a startup like you, how I can generate money like you, right? How you were able to generate, or like you were able to get a funding in your previous startup, that too in an early stage. How you were able to sell that on this valuation, or people come and say that how you are able to learn, right? How you keep yourself updated. I mean, like, see, I can give you a motivational answer for every how, right? But the reality is, the fact is, everything is happening because I'm doing it. That's the only reality. Nothing has happened overnight. Nothing has happened automatically, right? You have to sit, you have to work. Even today, like I'm working, right? I'm working. Even people are not, I can see like many people are not able to join the classes. But still, it's my responsibility. I know that I have to go into a class. I have to deliver the class because it's my job to do it, right? So I can't say no. I can't say how I will go and give the class. So simple thing is, if you are having such kind of a mindset that you will just ask a question on how, but if you will not build it and then you will ask the question, then obviously AI, not AI, forget about AI. Let's imagine that AI is nowhere, right? Still, you will lose your job. And yeah, people were losing a job. Because of Blinkit and Zepto, many general stores are closed. See, the thing is that before calculator, we used to do all the calculation on pen and paper, right? So yes, you can say that we were selling. So paper seller was selling a lot of papers, right? Because there was a demand, and every CA, or you can say everyone was doing a calculation on those pen and papers, right? Then calculator came into picture. Then computer came into picture. So obviously paper seller can't come and say that no, my sales has decreased. See, world is evolving. This is how we as a human being is. So if you are giving this analogy that because of this, like something has been closed or something got disrupted, then the simple thing is that we would have never evolved ourselves from men who were living in a cave, right? We were not supposed to evolve at all. If you are giving me this logic. And obviously this is because see, obviously even from yours, and again, so and if this is your mindset, then why you are thinking about a hike? Why do you complain that company is not giving me 10% hike, 20% hike? Why you keep on complaining that I'm not able to learn? Why you are complaining that market is not giving me opportunity? Somewhere down like deep inside you, even you are expecting some kind of evolution in yourself, right? Yeah. So when it comes to us, so we all are happy. When something happens to our neighborhood, then we start complaining, right? I think we should not like keep this kind of a mindset. We all should keep a progressive mindset, a struggler mindset, I would say, right? And believe me, things happens. Now coming to the next question. Otherwise, I will keep on talking about this topic for next 2-3 hours. How do you implement a tool calling in language model? Now, what is tool, by the way? So tool is nothing but a function. For example, so if I have written a function that search website, because LLM will not be able to search, right? LLMs are basically a simple model which has been trained till a particular date. Yeah, till a particular date. So LLM will not be able to go and do a website search. LLM will not be able to go and do a check of whether, or maybe like, I would say it will not be able to access my credit card or my calendar or my Google account or my website or my Amazon website or Amazon login, right? So I have to write a function. I have to authorize. I have to give an access. Now that is a function. Function will become a tool once I'm going to wrap it up with my agents, right? With my agents basically. So there will be an agent. So agent will decide automatically that, okay, if there is a task to do a web search, you pick this tool. If there is a task to access my credit card, okay, pick this tool. So this is how we try to. So tools are technically nothing but a function, a piece of function that we have been writing since many years, since the evolution of a computer, right? And we try to give an access to a LLM so that out of thousands of function or thousands of access, LLM can decide that which one to choose in what kind of a situation, which we have already done that even in our past, in our live classes. Now, what are the best practice for a function calling? Okay. Function calling, so basically with respect to agentic AI, a function calling is a bit different, as we have already discussed, and we have also seen a lot of use cases in our classes that LLMs is trying to call my function, right? So LLM is trying to take a decision that which function. Now let's suppose if I'm trying to build, if I have written a function for a website search, right? Web search or Google search, something like that. And Serper API integration I have done for that one. Now, if I have named that function, right, website search function, maybe as a credit card function, if I have named that function in a wrong manner, if I have not given a clear description that what you are doing, means what that function is doing in a doc string, right? If I have not given a very clear instruction, if I have not validated its inputs, which we are doing it by using a pydantic, by the way, nowadays, right? In that case, your LLM will not be able to understand. Right? So the best practice when you are trying to do a function calling is always try to make sure that your function name should be pretty much clear, aligned with the task. It must be having a very good description of the function so that my LLM will be able to access and my LLM will be able to understand it, right? It must be able to validate the input. For example, pydantic. Now pydantic 2 is running right in a market currently. So pydantic, right? And then there should be a fallback that if this function fails, then what to do, basically, right? So this is how you are supposed to practice. These are the best practices for a function calling in a agents. It's because this function calling will be a little bit different as compared to the regular function, because in the kind of a regular function, we call it, right? So we write it that, okay, call this one now, call that one now. But here your LLM is trying to access. So you have to be very descriptive with respect to LLMs. Otherwise, system will make a mistake all the time, or you can say, in other word, hallucinate. Now, so another question is 100 number question. How do you implement a memory management in a agents? So if you have any kind of a question, put me in a chat, guys. Put your question in a chat, not me in a chat. Yeah, your question in a chat, by the way. I believe my screen is visible, right? I'm sharing my screen. Yeah. Fine. And hope all of you are able to understand my definition and my answer basically. And this is how you should go and you should give an answer inside interview. How do you implement a memory management? So we all know that there can be a different type of memory management that we can do with respect to any orchestrator framework, agentic orchestrator framework. So what are those framework? LangChain, Llama indexes, AutoGen or AutoGen, init, and then like Crew AI, all such kind of a framework, right? I can try to use to create an agent. Now I have even shown you in my LangGraph class that there can be a multiple different kind of a memory which exist. Even in Crew AI class, I have shown you that part, right? By showing you Crew AI page itself, I remember. So I have shown you that there can be a different type of memory. There can be a kind of a memory where it stores everything, right? There can be a memory which stores a window. basically like top last 15 or 20 or whatever we are going to configure a window size, right? So like chunk of it. There can be a memory, so which will summarize the whole story and then store the summary, only the summary, right? So of the whole data. There can be a memory which will just hold maybe some sort of a entity, right? So entity based like a memory basically. So place and like a person name, it will try to only memorize. Entity based like a memory. So these are the memory which exist basically, right? So basically which exist, and whenever we are trying to create any agentic system or any chat system, even like when you try to chat with the chat GPT or even with the Yuri when you're chatting, there is a memory. It remembers about you basically. It memorizes about you so that it will be able to understand your past context, your current context, and it will try to give you better and better answer, right? It will try to give you a better and better answer. Even all this like a chat system that we are using across the globe, all the famous one, everywhere you will be able to find out the memory management. And it's not tough. We have seen that, right? We have already seen that in LangGraph. Technically, we have written a code for that one. That this agent will be having basically a windowing memory access. This agent will be having a buffer memory access, summary memory access. So this is something that we have already done as an implementation. So you can try to like, build this kind of a memory, and so by this you will be able to do a memory management. Plus if you have to like maybe store very huge amount of things into a memory, so in that case you can try to even call a vector database, and vector database you can try to use it for a memory. And if you are using for something inside a memory which can respond very very fast, in that case simple, go ahead with in memory. In memory means Redis. Redis as a service or Redis as a database, you can try to use it. So where it stores each and everything inside a cache memory, and it's going to be very, very fast. In a production grade application, obviously, I always advise everyone to use Redis on a server side, right? Redis on a server side. So this is how we can try to basically implement a memory management. Now, so what is the approach of building a reasoning agent? So first of all, we have to understand that what is a reasoning agent. You must have seen that recently when you chat with ChatGPT, and for the very first time, you must have seen with respect to a DeepSeek R1. So when DeepSeek R1 has been launched in a market, so it said that, okay, I can do a better reasoning. Reasoning means what? Reasoning means a chain of thought, you can say, right? Chain of thought. What is the meaning of chain of thought? That, okay, you give me the problem, right? So in other way, if I have to explain you, so basically a lawyer, right? So a lawyer. So let's suppose a lawyer is trying to prove his case that, okay, my client is not guilty, basically. So he will start breaking down all the incident step by step. He will start giving a reason. He will start connecting all the events for that particular day just to prove that his client is right. In the similar manner, what your agent does, so it will not go and generate an output in one single shot. What it will do, it will try to create a queue of series of questions based on your questions. That, okay, we'll do this, investigate this, then do this, then do this, then do this, then do this. So reasoning basically, or you can say chain of thought, COT, by the way, right? Chain of thought prompting. So basically in this way, you will be able to, our system will be able to give me the better result. Then it will summarize and then it will be able to give me the final answer. So we can expect that it will give me the reasonably better answer as compared to one shot answer. And this is something called as a reasoning agent. So wherever, so in LangGraph, yeah, you can try to create a reasoning node. It's possible, right? So instead of creating directly a reactive node, you can try to create a reasoning node as well. Model wise, if I'll say, so DeepSeek R1 is the best example. This is where this got a popularity for the very first time in a market. Now, so next question says that how do you implement planning in a AI agent? Okay, so what is a planning basically? So planning means nothing but like a chain or series, like break the goals into a steps and execute each and every steps, right? So basically this is something that we try to do. Yeah, agent will do something for which we have given an instruction, and obviously it will be having a limitation, right? So what we do, if you have seen that whenever we create an agent, so we try to say that, okay, fine. So you are this agent, you are a system agent, or you are assistant agent, or you are basically professor, you are basically this particular like a task doer, something like that we try to define. And then we say that okay, so whenever something will come to you, so step number 1, do this. Step number 2, do this. Step number 3, do this. Then give me an output in this format. And this is something called as planning. Now, AI agent will try to take this planning and then it will try to perform the exact same operation on whatever task we are going to configure it. So that is something called as planning, which eventually we try to do it. So we try to break it down in a different steps, and then we say that, okay, execute each and every steps. And whether we are going to create a agent inside maybe like a LangChain, LangGraph, Llama indexes, AutoGen, anywhere. Now, what are the consideration for a agent communication? Means how agent can talk to each other. This is what it means, right? So basically, agent will be able to talk to each other, and that depends upon the orchestrator, like a framework, right? And the backstory that we are going to build, and which agent we are going to call in what manner, maybe into a hierarchical manner, or maybe into a sequential manner, right? Or parallel manner. So depends upon that, agent will be able to communicate, and it will try to pass its input and output to the next one. Depends how we are going to do the configuration. And you must have seen that everywhere, whether we are using a crew, whether you are using a LangGraph. So in case of a LangGraph, it will be node, and then edges. Through edges, it will try to derive the relation between one agent to another agent, right? That, okay, I'll give this output and this will go into 2 or 3 or 4 or just 1. Technically like a graph structure, and it is going to work on that one. Crew, same thing, right? So crew provide you maybe a serialized approach, or it try to provide you even a hierarchical approach, just like a LangGraph. So you can try to build a crew, means a team, and then team is going to work in that particular manner. And technically communication means transferring a data from one to another one. So all of this orchestrator framework is going to perform this operation. Now, how do you implement a agent coordination? So whenever we have to like a design agent coordination, just we try to follow the implementation given by orchestrator framework, and based on that we try to like coordinate between the agent. For LangGraph, yeah, whatever kind of a graph that we are going to design, it will try to work on that part. Now, so it's not very different from the previous question, by the way. What is the approach for building a multi-model agent? Okay. So let's suppose I'm trying to build a system, right? I'm trying to build a system which will be able to like understand my text, which will be able to understand my images, and which will be able to understand even my voice. Yeah, which will be able to understand my voice. For example, Avni kind of a system we are designing, right? Avni kind of a system we are designing. So where we can go, we can do a conversation. It can understand my resume. It can generate some sort of a text out of it. And maybe I have added some image capability as well, where I can share my screen. It will take a screenshot, and then it will be able to even observe my entire screen, right? Image understanding. Now, so to implement such kind of a system, Avni kind of a system with a image capability, let's suppose, one model is not going to be sufficient, right? One model is not going to be sufficient. So maybe I need a multiple different model. For example, maybe for chat, I need some text-based model, to process our images. I need some vision-based model, obviously, to understand speech to convert speech to text and text to speech. I need audio kind of a model, or maybe some other library. So this is where this multi-model comes into a picture, right? You can just try to give an example of this one, that okay, so there is Avni, and we have been using that. And again, in every most of the cases nowadays, most of the complex cases, obviously you will have to take a multi-model system. So if I'll talk about a text, so obviously I can talk about a Gemini, I can talk about a GPT, I can talk about the Cloudera Sonnet, any series, which can behave like a brain for the text. Now, if I'm talking about a vision, so here for a vision model, right? So we can go ahead with the specific one, or even nowadays GPT is having a vision capability. It can understand your image as well as it can understand it can generate images. So both can be done. Now, for maybe a speech to text, right? If I am having a conversation system like a Avani, then I can try to use a Whisper from OpenAI once again. And if I have to maybe convert my text into a speech, which Avani used to say, so in that case, maybe I can try to use a model from a 11 Labs, or even from a OpenAI, a TTS model, a text to speech model. So speech to text, text to speech, a vision model, a text-based model. All of these models are required. then only my agent will be able to call a respective model for our respective use cases, right? So that it will be able to just communicate with me, just like a Avni is able to do it. So technically that is a multi-model agentic system, you can say. And yeah, across our industry we are doing it. So wherever this kind of a system is required, obviously you have to call the multi-model agent system. Question number 106, how do you implement agent learning and adoption? Okay, so how agent learns from anything. So obviously if I have to learning and adoption, I think we are already aware about this one. So we are already aware about the fine tuning, by the way. So fine tuning is one of the way. Again, inside the fine tuning we have a multiple approaches. I have already discussed about it. Then there is something called as, again, today Asit has, I believe, sent me one beautiful LinkedIn, I can say, like a complete write up. Let me show it to you as we are talking about a fine tuning. So he has documented that in my in morning. So I was just like going through it. Yeah. So he has created a very good blog, as you can see. So what is like a fine tuning, and then what and all types of the fine tuning you will be able to find out. So fine tuning technique. So basically full fine tuning or prefet. Inside prefet there will be LoRa and Cora. Then prefix, adapter, RLHF, DPO. DPO is also same as like RLHF, which I have already discussed. So it's a good read. Maybe you can just go through it. And he has done some sort of a deep investigation, like what is the GPU hour in general which is required, data gathering. So maybe it's a good read for all of you. So this is how we keep on doing a learning and adoption from a new data, right? So this is where, and again, I think we have already answered to this question multiple times. Let me share this link with all of you. Yeah, I believe he has shared in some of the groups as well. Maybe not in your group, or maybe I don't remember, but yeah, he pinged me. So, and I was like going through it. So I liked it basically, the kind of a detail he has mentioned. Then implementation, learning and adaptation. Okay. Now, what are the best practices for agent evaluation? It depends upon the task that we have in our hand and the kind of things that we are trying to solve. In general, we try to test accuracy, reliability, and speed. And again, so to test, right? To test, basically, there is a framework which is available in a market. Let me show you some of the framework for testing these models. So there is something called as this one. TrueLens is one of the framework. So TrueLens is one of the framework. Basically, this framework helps you out in terms of evaluating a model. Apart from that, so there is another framework called as Deep Evolve, and this is also helping you out in terms of evaluating the entire, basically the LLM evaluation framework. So if you have like to do a evaluation of your LLMs, so like LLM that you are trying to train, so maybe you can try to go ahead with this one. So agentic matrices, RAG matrices. So Deep Evolve and TrueLens, these are the two framework. Remember it, guys. Some of the framework you should remember, because people may ask you a question that, okay, so how do you evaluate it? So you can't say just like, okay, I was relying on accuracy and reliability. Then people will ask you next question that how you were testing accuracy. Simply say that, okay, I was using this framework and this framework provides you everything. Believe me, they provide you everything, right? They provide you each and everything, evaluate, test, iterate and test. So these are the framework, TrueLens and Deep Evolve framework, which I remember. Basically, you can try to use it for evaluating your LLMs basically. Now, so next question says that, what is the next question? Agent evaluation, fine. How do you implement an agent safety mechanism? Okay, so how do you implement a agent safety mechanism? Now, for agent safety mechanism, there is something called as guardrails, IRDRAILS, guardrails AI. Yeah. So guardrails is not just a concept. Many of us know these things as a concept, but yeah, there is also a framework you will be able to find out called as guardrails AI. And basically what it does, so it will try to provide, you can say, just like we do a child proofing, right? For maybe a newborn kids in our home. So we try to, seal pack all the corners. We try to, install some sort of foam or something. So in the similar manner, there is a platform called as Guardrails AI. And now basically it is going to give you each and everything, I would say, right? Each and everything where you will be able to guardrails your entire generative AI or agentic AI framework, or you can say guardrail your entire LLMs basically. So guardrails means guardrail on output, obviously rate limit, monitoring, access control for a tool. All of these things comes under the guardrails. And this is what it provides. So toxic language, financial advice, competitor mentions, positive tone, data leak, source of truth, everything it is going to provide you. This is what they are claiming, by the way. Obviously, everyone is building day by day better and better application, but yeah. So this is like a picture of this guardrail. Apart from this guardrail AI, there is also called as Nemo. There are so many platforms, but yeah, these are the popular one. Guardrail AI is one of the popular one. And then there is something called as Nemo guardrails, right? You can try to use this one as well. So almost like a similar to, it's from NVIDIA, by the way, right? So similar to this guardrails AI. So you can try to use this one. Yeah, you can try to use either of these things basically. So Nemo from NVIDIA, guardrails simplify scalable AI guardrails orchestration for safeguarding a agentic AI application. So if you're not able to understand anything, then simply say that, okay, I was using a Nemo. Simple, right? It's easy to use with the popular development framework, LangChain, Llama indexes, along with the growing ecosystem of AI system. So even if you have like a saying that, okay, fine, I have used LangChain or Llama indexes or any kind of these frameworks, right? You can simply say that, okay, as a guardrails, I was using NVIDIA Nemo and I have built the entire application. So it's just one like a layer, right? One layer on top of it. And maybe you can try to read out this one a little bit more, that AI guardrails orchestrated to keep LLM applications secure and on track. Simple. So what it does, so maybe you can try to look into this middle picture, by the way, the content moderation, off topic detection, RG enforcement, hallucination, real auditors, jailbreak detection, and PII detection. So this is what this guardrails is doing. And technically this is what is required, right? This is technically what is required. So this will sit in between your applications, basically, as you can see, these guardrails, and everything will go through whatever query that user is sending, everything will go through this particular small unit, right? Particular small unit. So you can, and again, it's very easy to use and configure, right? So maybe you can try to just check the example configuration for this one, for input moderation, output moderation, preventing off topic question. They have given you the implementation. It's like I said, it's very, very easy, right? It's very, very easy. So just 1 or 2 line of addition of your code. And they have given you so as we all understand the code part, right? Agent part, we all know how to build an agent, by the way. So just read out something out of this, and then you will be able to understand the entire guardrail part. So Nemo or maybe a guardrail AI is something that you can try to use it. And people generally ask a question, right? People generally ask a question that what kind of a guardrail frameworks or what kind of a guardrail that you have implemented. And this is something which is new and a hot topic for an interviewer, right? Because everyone knows that we are building things, we are building agents, we are using LLMs, but everyone is just worried and concerned about the output, about the safety, about the security, right? So this question is somewhere the must question for any interviewer. So AWS Cloud has also guardrails. Yes, almost all cloud platform is providing you, but these are the specific library which has been just designed for that particular purposes. Likewise, there are hundreds of libraries now you will be able to find out. I'm just talking about a couple of frameworks and the famous one. That's it, right? So basically, you can even try to do a guardrails by using a correct authorization. That is also a way of guardrailing your entire tools or maybe a functions that we have been doing since ages, I believe, right? Since a age, since a time when we have started doing a software development, I think we are doing it. IAM role, right? So IAM role is again one of the way by which you try to control the access or unauthorized access. So these are also comes under the guardrail itself. But if I'll talk about a specific to some agentic AI or LLM, so this also will come into picture. But that doesn't mean that your IAM, your auth will not come into picture. That will also complement. Now the next question, what is the next question? So what is the approach for building a explainable agent? Yeah. What is the meaning of explainable agent, by the way? So just focus on this word, keyword, explainable agent, right? So basically, when we go to a doctor and for a diagnosis of some disease, so doctor, good doctor, not a bad one, by the way. I have seen good or bad both. So good doctor, right? So good doctor will try to give you a medicine. Plus, he or she will try to even explain you, right, in a better way, in a layman way, that okay, why I'm giving you this particular medicine, and what is the disease that you have, what was the possible cause, if it is already defined in a medical science, right? If that phenomena is already been captured in a medical science, so why this has happened, and then why I'm giving you this treatment, and why I'm recommending you for this operation, that operation. So basically, the doctor explains everything, right? Explain everything to its basically to its patient, right? In the similar manner, right? So, and that too in a very plain. Why I'm giving example of a doctor, because obviously me as a patient, I will not be able to understand those medical terms. It's very complex for me, right? And for most of us, it's very complex. I think for 99.9% of us, it's very complex. I was not a very good biology student, and even though I was a very good one, I will not be able to understand some terms that they technically use internally, right? During their diagnosis or during their learning phase. So basically what they will do, they will try to explain it to me in a layman way, so that I will be able to understand that, okay, this is something which I am facing. This was the reason. Maybe I should stop this, stop that, or maybe I should go for this treatment. In the similar manner, right? In the similar manner, you can basically create an agent, right? Create an agent. You can just give an instruction that, okay, whenever some question will come to you, do one thing. First of all, try to break down those questions in as many possible stages as possible. Then try to understand a user from its user's past history. Then try to collect a data about this question, about a user, right? Then try to produce some sort of an answer. Now, so in this way, obviously, a system will. So if I'm going to create this kind of agent, and if I'm deploy it with the chat system, obviously it will give me a lot better answer as compared to direct generative answer, right? Which any system is generating, by the way. So this is called as explainable agent. And technically, whenever we create agents, obviously we try to give a breakdowns of the steps, and then we say that, okay, fine. So just give it, and then we try to give even evidence to the agent, or maybe some sort of example to the agents. So this is called as explainable. Nothing. This is something that we practice on a regular basis. Nothing new. How to implement agent debugging and monitoring? Okay. So agent debugging and monitoring. So first of all, if I have to do a monitoring, I will, for a Lang system, so I will try to use a LangSmith for that. Especially for LangGraph, I will be using LangSmith. For LangChain, I will be using maybe a LangServe, right? For a monitoring. I can try to use even a OpenTelemetry for a monitoring. Now, if I have to basically log, technically I have to log each and everything, right? Latencies, errors, input, output, replies, everything I have to log. So maybe I will be using a Prometheus and Grafana for dashboarding and logging, by the way. And just for error logging, so I will end up using a Sentry. These are the standard tool that we try to use it, right? So which helps me out in terms of logging each and everything, monitoring each and everything, a user's consumptions, input, output, latency, and then eventually it will help me out in terms of even a debugging if there will be some error comes into a picture in future, basically. So this is how we can try to implement debugging and monitoring. Now moving to the next section, architecture and design question. Hope till this point it's clear. Yeah, I think we are doing a good discussion. What do you think, guys? It's like a revision of everything, and it's like we are trying to call multiple things again and again and again. So kind of summary, right? Kind of summary. And I believe that was the whole objective of these lectures, interview lectures, by the way, right? So we can come together and then we can try to recall those concepts in a storytelling way, because this is what we'll do. We'll go to interview and we'll do that, right? So everything should be on our fingertips, by the way. Amazing discussion. Yeah, we are covering a lot of grounds. Yeah, and some new terms again. Some new terms as per the questions, right? Yes, mostly covered in the live classes. Obviously, in live classes, so we don't go in a question answer way. In live classes, we generally go in a implementation mode, right? But yeah, so this is something by which you just recall those things. Because what happens, right? So in live classes, let's suppose I'm discussing something, and maybe there will be some sort of a loophole in between some concepts. But here, so we are again trying to summarize. We are trying to connect things. So this will build a good memory for all of us. Now, next question is architecture, and I would have cleared my last week interview if I have gone through these questions. Technically, I have given you these questions not 10 days back. Now I think it's 12 days back, right? And technically, I have asked all of you, right? And even when I was giving you this, when I have shared this entire seat with all of you, I simply said that believe me, no one will cross this limit, means no one will cross this limit. And even today, I'm telling you that no one will cross this limit, right? And I asked you that, okay, create a resume, create a DPR, detailed project report, based on the project discussions that I have done in a beginning, the architectural discussion of the use cases, right? Build your DPR, send it to me, I'll review it, and then go for the interview. Then you will be ready, and then prepare these questions, right? And if you have not done that, then I'm not at a fault. Sir, I think these days you are launching courses mostly on Gen AI. Yeah, because it's in a demand, right? See, we have to run this as a company. Obviously, we have to generate a revenue. Otherwise, uh, survival will be difficult for me and my team. So, yeah, and people are looking for a generative AI more and more. So, obviously, I have to fulfill the gap. I have to fulfill the demand. So that's the reason. But not just generative AI. I think AI ML batch I'm going to start from next week, right? I don't know many of you are aware about it or not, but yeah. So basically, those who would like to learn AI ML or maybe do a revision, so maybe you can come to this batch, AI ML Masters, which I'm going to launch from next weekend onwards, 7 p.m. IST evening, where I'm going to start from the Python, then start the machine learning, a couple of concepts from ML ops, couple of very little from deep learning, by the way, just an intro you can say as per the syllabus which I have mentioned. But yeah, project is awesome. Project is new, fresh project, a big project which I am going to discuss inside this particular batch. So if you have a time, or maybe if you would like to revise, or maybe if your neighbor or your friends are looking for something like this, maybe go ahead with this one. And yeah, second one is for a kids basically. So I have decided that I'll go and I'll try to teach to my young generation as well. So there is a young Euron for grade 6 till 12. So this is going to start, I believe, from 4th of October, right? So next to next week, by the way. So maybe like children can join this particular batch, and they can enjoy. At least they can learn something about the AI. That's the whole intention. I don't have an intention to they will be able to build something. I have already mentioned that in a syllabus part, but I just want them to be aware about the AI. That okay, how AI works, and then what is the actual capability of an AI. Thank you always. LLM Ops interview preparation. I mean, like, don't start demanding for everything. First of all, complete something which is like in your hand. So when I say I'm launching this, that, right, then people will say this, launch that. I mean, like, you need only one job, right? In one role, in one domain. Then why you are looking for everything? First complete one, complete your target, and then like look for something different. I know you will not be able to take a load of multiple batches, or multiple learnings or multiple tracks. So just follow one track at a time, complete it, get some sort of outcome, and then jump into the next. Otherwise, you will keep on jumping, and you will keep on complaining to yourself that I was not able to do that. Don't do it. One thing at a time only. Your brain is a single threaded system. Even though if you think that you are a multitasker, but you are not. This is how human brain has been designed. Otherwise, you will become a computer. And you will lose all your human properties. Okay, moving next. That was just a joke. Can you chalk out the plan? Which course? If you're a complete beginner, right, in a AI ML, complete beginner, you don't know anything about AI, you don't know anything about the programming, then simple, start with AI ML, or start with my FSDS, full stack data science batch, that is also available. or start with any of my Python batches. Or maybe Ramendra is also taking Python, so you start with Python batches because Python is an important one. Then second, obviously like a stats, then machine learning, deep learning, go with that track. Basically, if you are trying to jump directly into a generative AI, then again Python. After that, skip all the parts. Don't no need to know about like machine learning, deep learning, all those things. Directly jump into my generative AI bootcamp. Simple. Your statement is becoming coach. Okay, so yeah, maybe you can use it for a social media post sometime. Now, let's talk about. Shall we move ahead or we are done? So we have discussed 15 questions by the way for today. Okay, so design a multi-modal GenAI system that processes text, image, and audio. I believe we have already taken this question even in past. Right, multi like a agent system. So here it's a multi-model. Previously it was a multi-agent system, which can like take a feed from the multiple system, right? So basically, again, we'll try to here. It's clearly mentioned that text, image, and audio. So obviously, if I'm talking about a text, so maybe I can think about a GPT 4.0 or maybe Cloud 3.0. If I'm talking about a vision, so in that case, I can try to use a model called as a Clip, Blip, or maybe a Gemini Pro Vision model. I can try to use. If I'm talking about the images, audio wise, so speech model wise, I can try to use a speech model from maybe Whisper API, speech to text. And from 11 Labs, as I have already mentioned in the previous example or previous answer, 11 Labs is something that I can try to use for text to speech. So speech to text, Whisper, and from text to speech, 11 Labs I can try to use. And then on top of this one, orchestration framework wise, I can try to use LangChain, LangGraph, N8N, Crew AI, anything that I want, right? These are the orchestration framework, which will like club everything together. Let's discuss till 120. Okay, so 120, let me finish this entire things, like till 130 then. Yeah. Till 130. I'll finish this entire section so that we can start with the. Okay, so next section is basically about a leadership section. This is not a technical one. This is like kind of a non-tech question basically. Yeah. So let me like close it till 130 for today. Okay, how do you architect a GenAI system for a enterprise deployment? Fine. So I think yesterday I have discussed 7 to 8 layers. So technically that layer will come into a picture. So whenever we talk about a generative AI system, for a enterprise deployment. So just remember that particular part, which I have already discussed in very, very detail, I believe. I think that system is still open. Yeah. So there will be entry point, API gateway, orchestrator, custom model, retriever, maybe caching, maybe safety, observability, and data or event hub, right? So these layers that I have discussed yesterday, that was with respect to the enterprise application and the project and the layers which I have already discussed in a beginning. Again, that was for a enterprise deployment. So just go ahead with that. Now, so what is the approach for building a GenAI system with the microservices? First of all, those who are not aware about this term called as microservice, let me explain you that part. See, microservices is basically a style. In a layman way, it's basically a style. Style means what? So instead of building a multiple feature all together in a single code base, right? What I can do, I can try to separate a code base for like a small feature. That is something called as microservices, right? That is something called as microservices. So that I will be able to scale a particular service as per the need. I will be able to modify each and every services as per the need, and then I can do anything with respect to a particular services. For example, I'll tell you one thing. In terms of any website that you are able to see, any portal that you are able to see. So let's suppose I'm designing an entire LMS portal, for example, Euron portal. So what I will do, I'll just try to like build it in a microservice, as a microservice mode basically, right? So where there will be a separate code base or there will be a separate solution just for the login and authorization. There will be a separate code base just for my so basically plug and play kind of a model, right? So for login, just for the login, there will be a separate code base just for playing a video. There will be a separate code base just for sending a notification, separate service itself, separate code base itself, right? a separate service, separate application I'll try to build. There will be a separate services just for my resume AI, separate services just to implement a URI. Again, inside URI, there can be a multiple services. So when I try to build a system in this way, right, when I try to detach all the major services, so I used to get a lot of flexibility in terms of improving the features, flexibility in terms of basically scaling it. So let's suppose if one of the service needs a lot of compute or maybe a lot of bandwidth, I can try to provide. I don't have to like scale the entire system. So I just have to scale one small services out of this one. So these are the advantages. Obviously, I will be able to get it in case of a microservice mode of development. And obviously it will be more manageable, right? More manageable in this particular way. Anyone can come, they can try to like read out, they can check like what is the input, what is the output, and then they will be able to do some sort of a modification. Now, similarly, so when we are trying to build a generative AI system, right? So obviously we are going to use some sort of a text generation, image generation, embedding services, some sort of a RAG services we are going to take, some sort of a moderation services. So what we can do is that we can try to build all of these services in a independent mode. Yeah, independent mode, independently. And one service I can try to expose to the other service via API or via REST, I would say, right? Or maybe a GPRC call. I can try to expose this to other services. Then I can say that, okay, fine. So my entire things is microservice, right? It's been built as a microservices. Otherwise, it will be monolithic, by the way. Means everything all together, right? One big application together. So generally, when we try to build MVPs, we don't follow this microservices. When you are literally building a very, very big application, right? That you know that, okay, fine, so it will go for the very biggest scale and we are building for next one generation or maybe one decade, then obviously you should go and you should follow the microservice architecture. Generally, we do it with respect to all the big product. Now, next one. So how do you design a Gen AI system for a edge deployment? What is the meaning of edge deployment? So deploying this LLM models on edge devices, for example, Coral, right? Google Coral, Jetson Nano. Again, like NVIDIA is having a multiple series, Jetson Nano, JVR, a lot of series NVIDIA keep on launching. Now Raspberry Pi or maybe your Android or iOS mobile devices. So if you have to deploy those models, so basically you can't deploy the raw model or the original models, right? You have to quantize those models, or maybe you have to build a model with the help of distalization, right? Where you will try to reduce a size because your system can process those models. There is a possibility, but your mobile devices or your edge devices will be having a very, very limited compute, right? Maybe 1 GB, 2 GB of a RAM, right? So on that kind of a compute, if you have to execute it, you can't go and dump those model as it is. So quantization, right? Quantization is something that we try to do, or distillation is something that we try to do so that my model can run on a Jetson Nano kind of a devices, Raspberry Pi kind of a devices, or Coral kind of a devices, or on my mobile or on my like Android iOS kind of a mobile, right? So the tech stack that we try to use in general is ONX runtime we can try to use. There is something called as Tensor RT. So that is also a tech stack for like building something or deploying something on a edge devices. There is something called as Hugging Face we already know, right? But there is something called as Hugging Face Optimum, right? Hugging Face Optimum, if you'll go and search. So again, that provides you a flexibility in terms of deploying or in terms of building this quantized or distalized model, basically. And with the help of that, we do it. And we do it a lot, by the way. Yeah, we do it a lot. Even I'm doing it since very, very long time, like not just a LLM, basically. So I think since last 7 to 8 years, so we are doing a lot of deployment with respect to like, our vision models, because even vision models will be very, very high and the inferencing will be very much costly in terms of compute. So we have been like building such kind of a solution since 7 to 8 years, I would say. Yeah. What are the consideration for building a Gen AI system in a cloud? Okay. So consideration means obviously cost wise, it should be optimized. It should go for the auto scale. If I'm talking about the cloud, a security group basically means IAM. I have to control that. Serverless option for a light task. So all these things we have to think whenever we are thinking about any kind of a Gen AI system on the cloud. So cloud wise, I believe AWS provides you that kind of a solution. For example, AWS SageMaker, right? GCP Vertex AI, Azure ML, Lambda services, all of these cloud services are providing you a dedicated services for the same thing. Now, how do you architect a GenAI system for a real-time application? I believe I have already given an answer with respect to our project, right? So obviously, it should be like a work with a very low latency. It should be cheap, basically. It should be like always work with the async processing. So yeah, this is how we do it. And I think I talked about a VLLM. Not just talk about it. We have even used a VLLM, and we have hosted our own big model on a GPU, right? That is one of the example. But yeah, those are just a small part. The big part was the project that we have discussed in the beginning. What is the approach for building a GenAI system with the high availability? Okay. So if we are building some sort of a system which should be available like a hospital, by the way, 24/7 to us. So in that case, obviously we have to productionize it with a multi-node system. So we'll not take just one or two machine. It should be a big cluster on which we have to deploy. Plus we have to add a load balancer over there, right? Plus we have to basically like, configure it for a automatic failover, that if there will be a failover, then what system should do, right? Keeping that in mind, so we can try to take nginx envoy, which I have discussed yesterday as well. Kubernetes services I can try to consider, or maybe like a AWS ECR ACS kind of a services I can try to consider. For this high availability kind of a system, but simply means that host it on a multi-node, right? That too in a multi-regions, basically. And if you're doing it, then you are able to design like a system with a high availability. Now, how do you design a GenAI system for a global deployment? Yeah, global deployment. So for a global deployment, obviously multi-region. This is the meaning of a global, right? So data centers should be across a different region. So if I'm like serving European region, USA region, Canada region, and India region, so obviously my server should be available. My data center should be available in all the regions. That is one. Second one is basically a CDN implementation, right? So maybe Cloudflare CDN implementation I'll go ahead with. Content delivery network, which will make my like a system fast. Localization, right? Localization means basically whenever some traffic is coming, so a local server. So basically it will be able to identify the geolocation of the service or of the hit, or maybe of the traffic. And then it will route the request to a local one, not to some other reason. So localization of the entire services we can try to implement. In this way, we can do a global deployment. I believe nothing new. We have already discussed it. It's a repeated kind of a question. What are the considerations for building GenAI system with the compliances? Okay. So compliances means obviously kind of a legal note, right? So let's suppose if I'm trying to build something for a Europe, GDPR will be applicable, right? Because European region follows GDPR strictly. If I'm building something for a healthcare, then HIPAA will come into a picture for a healthcare, basically, right? So GDPR generally for a Europe, and HIPAA. So whatever clauses that they have mentioned, I have to follow that, right? For example, they have mentioned that their data should be available in their region only. So obviously I should not host any server, so which should be out of that region, because it is going to breach a legal law of that particular land if I'm selling some services in that particular region. And that is something that you will be able to find out in AWS, Azure, and everything is configurable, by the way, right? So as per the law, everything you can configure it in whatever like a services that you are using, maybe a cloud services you are using, you will be able to configure it. As simple as that. Now, how do you architect a GenAI application for a multi-region deployment? I don't have to architect much here, right? I don't have to basically architect many things over here, because if I'm using EKS services, it handles automatically, right? AWS Global Accelerator, it handles automatically. So it will be, I just have to do a configuration. So basically a configuration for a geo routing. So I will try to my system will try to understand that, okay, fine, from where traffic is coming, and it will try to send to the nearest possible server, right? It will send that request to the nearest possible server, as simple as that. And again, so I have to configure from my side. So I should keep all my databases in sync, right? All my model weights and everything in sync, so that everyone should be able to get like in a zero downtime. So everyone should be able to see the exact same thing, the services which I'm selling in one region or maybe into the other region. This is the only thing which I have to handle. Apart from that, this is a kind of a configuration, just one click configuration nowadays. It's not a big headache for any one of us. What is the approach for building a GenAI system with the data governance? Okay. So what is the meaning of data governance? First of all, we have to understand that, right? So it's just like if I'll talk about data governance, technically it's like owning a library or maybe maintaining a library. So I should always know that who owns what kind of a book, what book who owns, who have taken or who have borrowed which book, who is reading what kind of a books. In library, this is what happens. We go to library, we borrow the books, we go to library, we read the books, right? So basically this is something called as a data governance. So where we should always understand that who should have what kind of a data access. Everyone should not have all kind of a data access, right? Not neither a model nor even a human being. Everyone should not have all the function access, right? So basically we try to define a role based things. And so we should always also track that from where data is coming, right? Are we breaching the trust or are we breaching the law of the land, right? So are we doing something with the data which we were not supposed to? I believe yesterday we talked about this story a lot, right? Data governance story. So in this way, you will be able to manage it, basically a data governance. So it's more like I have already mentioned yesterday that it's more like an intention, right? So basically it comes from the intention and then you just tune your system accordingly, basically. So this is something called as data governance. Now there is something called as how do you design a GenAI system for audit and compliances. Okay. So basically we try to configure a log system. So maybe a Splunk, maybe a Datadog, maybe Elastic Stack. So ELK, we try to attach to it. And we will keep on getting the dashboards. We will keep on getting our flags. We will keep on getting the alerts. And then based on that, we try to audit and we try to maintain the compliances. Yeah. Now, so what are the considerations for building a generative AI system with security? Okay. So basically we talked about the guardrails. Yeah. We talked about the guardrails. So there is something called as guardrails AI. There is something called as Nemo guardrails from NVIDIA. We have already discussed. IAM comes into a picture. Identity access management comes into a picture. Vault for managing the secrets. Even AWS providing you a vault, right? Or other system is also providing you a vault. So this is how I will try to implement. So combination of this is going to give me the security, right? So generative AI system with the security. So basically the very first part which I will do with the data is encrypt everything. Yesterday I talked about it, right? So encrypt everything when data is moving from one system to other system or client side to server side to client side, the way WhatsApp is doing, right? So we should control each and everything with the help of role-based access. Everyone should not have every kind of access. It should be a role-based, right? So protect against the prompt injection, right? Now guardrails obviously comes into a picture. So which will control, by which you will be able to control even a tone, even an output, even a input. With respect to any kind of a generative AI application, maybe agentic or maybe with respect to just a LLMs. So this is how you can implement a security and safety, and by default, this will come into picture. And I think we talked about this one more than 20 times now about guardrail, security and safety, about these terms. Now 124 number question says that how do you architect a generative AI system for a privacy protection? Okay. So basically privacy means personal data, right? Personal data basically safe. This is something called as privacy protection. Like I said, it's more like an intention, right? Then implementation. So if company is intended to do it, they will do it. Otherwise they will just make a statement that we are doing it. But yeah, it just depends upon them. So it's more like an intention. So you can say that, yeah, we were doing it. So we were not storing any kind of data which we were not authorized to. This is the story you can build up. But technically, yeah, it's an intention game. What is the approach for building generative AI system with ethical AI? Okay. Again, more or less like a previous one, right? So basically, you should keep always a policy transparent. You should always avoid the harmful input and output, right? So by this, you will be able to build the ethical AI. How do you design Gen AI system for a bias mitigation? It should not be biased. So basically, to mitigate a bias, the story will start from the data, right? If your data itself is biased, then obviously model response or model generation is going to be biased. So it depends upon first a training data, because that was the source of truth for any model that you are building, right? Or any model that you are using. So you should keep a heavy check on your data side. So your data should not be, or it is not supposed to be biased at all. Then when system is giving an output, you should always use some re-ranking tool, maybe a Cohera, maybe some re-ranker model, right? To re-rank the entire output, and then always give a priority to the highest ranking one. So maybe this is how you will be able to mitigate the bias part inside the module, and then always RLHF, right? So human feedback loop is important. Human check is important unless and until you are not 100% sure about this one. Now, so just to mitigate a bias, there are a couple of framework that you will be able to find out in this world. Basically, there is something called as fair learn dot bias. So improve of fairness in a AI system. Technically, it does the same thing that I was talking about. But yeah, there is a framework for that one. So you can just do pip install like a fair learn and then follow along with their documentation, and then you can try to use it, right? So technically it is going to check the data, demographic, this, that, and then it is going to bring a fairness into your data set. Even if you're not using these frameworks, it's okay, right? It's completely fine. It's completely okay. You can try to do the implementation even without these library, because this is just a piece of like a simple wrapper code. Yeah. Or you can try to use some bias detection model as well. Yeah. So there is something called as like some bias detection model. You will be able to find out on Hugging Face for some of the use cases, for especially for like a textual information, textual data. You can try to find out, right? So basically this is going to check bias and fairness in AI. So models are also available, frameworks are also available, but pretty much it's the same thing that we're talking about. Okay, so now what are the consideration for building generative AI system with the fairness? Okay, so fairness basically I can try to use maybe this one, fair learn, to bring a fairness, right? So fair learn is an open source community driven project to help a data scientist to improve a fairness in AI system. Learn about AI fairness from our guide, use cases, access and mitigate fairness issue using a Python toolkit. Okay, so basically it will try to bring basically something inside your data set, something inside your across system, so which will try to represent everyone, and which will give kind of a equal opportunity to every one for like AI that you are trying to build. This is what is like a fairness is. It will not do a biasing at all. So this library is also already available. Again, there are models which is available. So maybe you can try to explore for bringing a fairness into your system. Then question says that how do you architect a Gen AI system for a transparency? Similar kind of a question, right? So basically you have to make something very, very open, right? So basically if you are trying to bring a transparency, so you have to showcase that how you are trying to predict something, right? Which I think some companies have done that, but many companies are not doing it. Second, but I think it should be the first point. The second point should be the first one, that how you have actually acquired the data, because that's a big question for all of us, right? We all know that they have acquired all kind of a data without any kind of a consent, right? But yeah, that's a big question. So this should also if they would like to bring up fairness and transparency, which they will not, no one will, by the way, right? Because they will get into a lot of trouble and they will have to pay back a lot of money, which they can't, and they should, I think they should, but yeah, they will not do it. How you have acquired the data. I think that's a very first kind of a transparency that people should bring. That's the meaning of transparency, that how your system is actually working, what kind of a data you are storing, what kind of a data you have used to train your AI model, right? How much my personal data is been used, because everyone will be having concern with respect to a personal data, right? So when I'm chatting with your system, you are saying that you are not storing, let's suppose I have not given a consent, but how much data you are storing, how you are able to understand my 1 month old chat, although I'm chatting on a regular basis, where you are storing it, even though if I have cleared my cache, and all these questions, right, which will come around a transparency. So if you are it's more like a explanatory things, right? that, okay, what you are doing, explain it to me. That comes with the transparency. So many company does that for their client, but yeah, the big one will never do it because entire globe is their client, and especially a B2C will not do it. B2B, obviously, you will have to go and you have to be very, very transparent with your clients. Now, next one is like 129. What is the approach for building generative AI system with accountability? I think transparency, accountability, I mean, like same thing. So, uh, basically, like accountability means how we are tracking, how we are changing the model, or how we are worsening. All of these things comes with the accountability. Similar kind of a question, I think, since last 4 or 5 times we are getting. How do you design a Gen AI system for a human oversight? Okay. So human oversight means basically a kind of a system where human will be in loop, human will keep on watching, it will keep on giving a feedback. RLHF, DPO is one of the example, right? So where we build a model, but yeah, so we try to keep basically human in a loop, basically, right? Even if you will talk about a Langsmith, they provide you this RLHF options, and majority of this new age platforms for building this AI application or agentic application, they are providing you human in loop kind of a solution. So this is how you will try to keep your Gen AI system uh, for a human oversight. Yeah, so that human will keep on watching and they will keep on giving up feedback. So this is it till 1:30, guys, and maybe next class we can try to start. What do you want? Shall we conduct a class on Saturday, Sunday, or shall we keep it on Monday, Tuesday? So what is your suggestion? Because my slot is available for this Saturday, Sunday. That's the reason I'm asking. If my slot is next to next, it will not be available because next to next I have a batch for children. So this slot will not be available on like Saturday, Sunday slot will not be available. So Monday, Tuesday only. Okay, Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, I think we'll take only 2 classes. We'll take Monday, Tuesday, and the 70 questions are left. Most of the question from 131 till this one, and then in a later stage when I was going through a question, yeah, leadership question and all those things. So these are basically like a leadership question, means non-tech question, by the way. Yeah, but it's important. It's important to handle couple of or counter couple of questions in an interview. So max to max 2 days it will take for me, Monday, Tuesday. And if your resume, if your DPR is ready, keep on sending your resume, keep on sending your DPR. And if you are preparing an answer for this one, so maybe you can keep on sending me that as well, that I have prepared an answer for this 15 question or 20 of like entire 150 questions in your own way, in your own version. You can take a help from like a AI. I don't have an issue with that. But yeah, so when you are writing an answer, please make sure that you have like, written those answer by yourself. Then only you will learn and you will be able to remember. Otherwise, I can just dump this entire question in a chat GPT. It will generate it, copy and paste, and I'll prepare the documentation. I mean, like I can do it in a hundreds way in just 5 minutes. So I don't want that kind of a solution. I want a solution where you have applied your brain, you have gone through each and every question, wherever architecture is required, mentioned it, wherever code is required, you have mentioned it, wherever technology is required, some framework is required, you have mentioned it, right? Wherever a story is required, you have mentioned it in your own way, right? So I'm looking for that kind of a solution. I'm not looking for just a generated solution. So if you are sending me a generated solution on one single template, I think it's of no use for me, and even like it's of no use for you. Yeah, you will not learn anything and you will not be able to remember anything. I'm asking you to do it so that you will revise, you will explore, right, with the help of AI. Monday, Tuesday, fine. Let's go ahead with Monday, Tuesday then. Let's complete this batch on Monday, Tuesday. Okay, fine then. Monday, Tuesday. I'll not take class on Saturday, Sunday for this batch. We have Python, DSA, Bootcamp, Generative AI. You will be having another 10 batches, by the way, and on Sunday, Saturday itself. So you can't come and you can't come and say that I have this batch or I have that batch, right? Because see, mostly people will be available on Saturday and Sunday, and they come for Saturday, Sunday batches. So generally we have to launch those batches on Saturday, Sunday itself. So we just have like those 2 days in our hand out of the entire week to launch any of these batches, and people are demanding like a lot of batches. So obviously we have to bring those lot of batches. Obviously there will be an overlap. I can't keep all those batches like a separate, and it's timing like a separate. You have to decide that which one you are going to join. I know all of you are not going to join all the batches. Yeah. So for example, like I'm going to launch this AIML, right? And then after that, I'm going to launch again a generative AI. Obviously, it will overlap with some of the other batches, which is running on the platform. So you can decide that which one you should join, and then maybe you can join next time because you have a plus access, so you can join next batches as well for the entire year. Okay, fine then, guys. Just do something with respect to your. Someone has pinged a lot of things in a. Oh, these links someone has pinged. Okay, Nvidia Nemo. Fine, then I don't have to like maintain those links. It's already there inside your group. That's amazing. By Rajesh. Any discount for renewal? I think you can talk to a team, right? For renewal, we are planning to increase the price by October last. It's like we are not able to generate a profit. That's the reason. So we are very affordable and too many things we are giving. But yeah, maybe you can talk to team. So they will be able to help you out in something. I don't discuss these things, by the way. How your kids are doing? They're doing great. Recently, I think on 14th, just 10 days back, 9 days back. So they have completed their 1 year. So they're doing amazing. $1,000. Not that much, obviously. I can't charge. It will be a loot. Okay, fine, everyone. So let's meet for this batch. So for this discussion, 130th question onwards, we'll start discussing it in next Monday. Next Monday and Tuesday, we'll discuss it. We'll close the batch by next Monday and Tuesday. So please keep your DPR and resume at least ready by that time. Otherwise, believe me, you will be having a regret. You will always think that I had a chance, I had a time to do it, but I was not able to do it. So I just don't want you to have a regret in a later stage that you have wasted your time, because that will be a biggest regret of your life. So simple, you have a time, just start, complete it. Believe me, it's just a 5 to 6 hour of a task. But yeah, one time task in an entire lifespan, maybe for generative AI, and close it. Send it to me. I'll review. I'll give my feedback, because whoever has sent it to me, whoever have pinged me on my DM, I've already responded back with their resume. They have already rectified the things that I have asked for in their resume. So just do it. Simple. Don't keep this regret for the very long time. Except the LinkedIn request. My LinkedIn request is already full. I can't, because LinkedIn always gives you a limit of 30,000. It's like a already full long back. Except the LinkedIn request for who enrolled for Euron Plus. No, I'm not selling that part with the Euron Plus. So that I have not mentioned, by the way, that I'll accept a LinkedIn request. I mentioned that I'll teach you. So I'll teach you. Simple. That's not a feature. So basically jokes are the part, but yeah. So 30,000 is the limit that you can accept in one LinkedIn account. That was full, I think 2-3 years back itself. So I'm not able to accept any new request. I have to remove someone, then only I can accept someone. So again, people will feel bad if I'm removing someone. Okay, fine, guys. Thank you so much. Take care, and see you again next Monday and Tuesday for this particular discussion. Like I said, next week we are closing the discussion for this batch. Thank you. Take care, everyone. Have a great day, night ahead. In case of any question, ping me. Ping me in a group so everyone can see it, and then we can discuss a question there. Thank you, everyone. Thanks.